Diets and workouts, you've done the work, so why can't you get to your goal weight? That's because up to 70% of your weight is predetermined by your genetics. So while you've been told that it's all about your willpower, you're actually fighting your biology. Don't do it alone. Found's Doctor Design program uses medication as part of a treatment plan that targets your body's unique biological needs, so that your body works with you and not against you. Take the quiz at joinfound.com to see if Found's weight loss program is right for you.
Listen up. I won't sugarcoat it. This is the longest cold, flu, and allergy season we've ever seen, but we're not alone. We've got Instacart. Sure, you may be a coughing snot faucet who just wants mommy, but you're not giving up! Not when cold medicine, fragrant herbal teas, and honey shaped like bears can be delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes! Now let's go win the sick playoffs!
Daddy, I just want my soup.
Oh, sorry, Sport. App says it'll be here in a few minutes. Instacart for the win.
Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, GoPowerCat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, from the GPC studios, here's your host, GoPowerCat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Questions Podcast. Almost our last one before football arrives. It's not, though. Got another one. Tim Fitzgerald, Zach Carlson, Ryan Gilbert, right here in what I still am going to call the GPC studios, but I'm contemplating a name change, Zach. I'm contemplating a name change.
Of what?
The studio that we just called this GPC studios. But
my basement.
But right, this is my basement. This is one of the old guest rooms that now is my studio, and I love it. Other than once in a while, someone will turn on the hose outside and we'll get a loud squealing sound in this studio. Not good. But around the corner from this studio is our theater room that we don't use very often because my wife won't let me get a 75-inch TV because I live in Tierney. But anyhow, that's aside.
Unless K-State's playing in Cayman Islands.
But I still can't get the 75-inch TV. I have a 55-inch TV, and every time
But we use the room.
Every time I put out a picture of it, people go, "Why is your TV so small?" It's 55 inches. It's all about perspective. That's a whole different topic.
I think it's a weird thing about this room as being a bedroom because it's so
huge
weird.
bedroom.
It's so awkward. I don't think you could fit a king-size bed anywhere in this room and have it work.
Well, yeah, that's
actually even. You might be able to get a queen in here.
Okay, well,
if you press it against the wall.
Here's the thing though, is when we moved in here, this room it didn't have that closet. It didn't have a closet. It just had this open space, and there was actually a stage here because apparently a couple owners ago or people ago, a kid was a drummer and had his kit set up here. Which, it's studio now. It's a good place.
Did you touch his drum set?
I did not touch his drum set. I did not do it. But when we came in, not about 6 months after we moved in here, we had a flood. And water got underneath the stage and just mold erupted all over this room. So we had to redo the room, put it in the closet. That's not important to this story, Zach. You've got me sidetracked here. But around the corner from the living room or the theater room is a bar, right? We got a full bar down here that we don't use.
I'm aware of that.
Oh, shut up. Quit trying to interrupt the story. So what's the name of the bar?
I love this bar.
It is the dog room. It's the dog room.
The dog room.
And every year we used to have a party called the Cats and Dogs Party. It would be on a Friday night before a home football game, and we'd raise money for some animal shelter or something. And we stopped doing that. I don't even know why.
I went to one.
I know. We just stopped it. We got to 9 and stopped. We're going to fire it back up, but now we need some new flooring in there. It's all a whole thing.
No cats, though.
You just want to name it the dog room?
I don't want any cats near me.
No cats attend the party. The cats are the Wildcats.
Cats and dogs?
The Wildcats. We're celebrating K-State football and animal shelter.
You're celebrating? What if they lose the next day?
Well, then we'll be hung over it and won't matter to us.
Okay.
I'm thinking about renaming our studio the Cats and Dogs Studio.
I don't like it.
Okay. I knew you wouldn't. He's like my second spouse. Whatever idea I have, no, I don't like it.
You know what this room really needs?
What?
If you're going to put beds in here, bunk beds are the only thing that would fit in here, I think. You could put like three sets of bunk beds.
With the drums, it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
It's
the Step Brothers Studios.
This is a shotgun room here, and our table's right.
The bar shape you hate.
Well, that was a long ways to go for nothing. Anyhow, welcome to the podcast. We're sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. They're wonderful. I'm back from vacation. It was wonderful, and we had our annual pilgrimage to Breckenridge. To see all things great and beautiful at 10,000 feet. But we meet friends and we have a good time. And we always go to the Breck Distillery. Every year we go to the Breck Distillery. Please turn off your phone. Someone out there in the audience has a phone on right now. Please silence your phones. Okay. Anyhow, so we go to, and this one was kind of tame. We got a little drunk at the Breck Distillery, but not too bad. And then I get a DM on our website, and I didn't know he was a member of our website. But if you don't know this, the Breck Distillery was founded by a K-Stater who is on our website saying, make sure you stop by. And I'm like, dude, we already did. We did. We do it every year.
Is it Breck Brewery? Is that a different?
No, yeah, but it's different. This is the distillery.
Different? Okay, I don't think I've ever been there.
Yeah, the distillery's awesome. They do really good whiskeys. They apparently have a really good gin. I don't like gin, but they have vodka, pear vodka.
Do they have Pacifico there?
No, I don't drink beer when I'm there. I have fancy schmancy drinks.
Yeah.
I taught them how to make a banana hammock. They have pear vodka that they make. And
they have like a banana puree or something?
Yeah, they had a banana, I think it was a puree. It was a liqueur.
Okay.
And it was totally different than the banana hammock you can get at your employers, but it was still delicious. The banana
hammocks are always great.
Oh,
always great.
Thank you, Breck Distillery. You can find all of Breckenridge Distillery products at the Fridge Wholesale Liquor. That's where I was
smooth.
On with your questions from Wabash Station. Our users, our subscribers, our VIPs, and ask the questions. I earn that right. And by the way, we are the fastest growing site on the 24/7 Sports Network. Not getting the most, creating the biggest percentage. Because some of those sites are pretty damn big. But we're kicking ass. We thank you very much. If you're not subscribing, please consider doing so you can ask these questions too. And Ryan Gilbert's going to read them.
First question is from AWint25. Do you expect K-State to open up the playbook a little against Southeast Missouri State and Troy?
Not against Southeast Missouri State. I think they're just going to try to establish basic stuff. This is what we do. And, it's one of those things, if they get into a situation where they've got to score some points, they'll crack it open. I mean, Colin learned that from Coach Snyder. But he's not going to show much. Against Troy, I think they will because the Tulane game last year. I think they let that one sneak up on them. They came into the game being a little too conservative, and they couldn't get out of it. They couldn't solve that issue. So I think they'll open it up against Troy. But I think SEMO, they'll just kind of cruise with the running game and simple passing game.
Yeah, I think SEMO will be a boring game, and I think Troy will be an exciting game.
I agree with both of those. And Troy's morning game, right?
Yes.
And SEMO's a night game. I had someone DM me. They're stressed out because all of their K-State stuff is purple. SEMO is a stripe out, and they're in a white section. And I said, go buy simple white T-shirts.
They made a shirt that they sell at Rally House.
Oh, really?
You can buy the purple shirt or the white shirt. It's a Big 12 Champions ring shirt.
There you go, Jeff. There's your answer. I suggested just get a purple Sharpie and write "Go Cats" on it. Just the simplest stuff that intentionally looks ridiculous. Emaw, just written in a purple Sharpie on a white T-shirt. Follow the rules.
You'd do it.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Or one of your tank tops.
Oh, man, I'd be so sexy in a tank top.
You already are.
In fact, I might take the shirt off. It's hot in here.
It is kind of toasty.
Well, I've had the air off because it's been beautiful.
See, now you know what it's like to drive in my car.
This
isn't the overtime. Sorry.
This is not like what it's like to drive in your car. This is like 75 degrees. Your car gets to like the heat of the sun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
From Go Uper Cat, could the improvement in Will Howard's play this season be as remarkable as the improvement we saw last season?
Oh, if it is, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. I'm dead serious. I mean, he's going to contend for it at least. If he makes that kind of improvement and, another leap forward that big, he's going to be incredible. I have a feeling he's going to be better. And we'll see how it plays out. But if he gets much better, he's going to be going to New York at the end of the season. That fella at USC might have something to say about it, but I think Will Howard would certainly be the all Big 12 quarterback and certainly will be on the stage or invited to New York for the Heisman ceremony if he improves as much as he did between last season or 2 seasons ago and last season, because that was a huge leap forward.
I think if Will Howard's going to improve, I think you're going to need to see improvement from the wide receivers. I think there's still a lot of question marks as far as the personnel goes there. You're going to need a guy that's going to catch a lot of touchdown passes. I don't know which wide receiver that guy's going to be. I think we feel strong about Ben Sinnott's probably going to catch quite a few touchdown passes this year, but I think it comes down to sheer numbers of touchdown passes that he's able to throw. That and yards, I think he'll probably throw for about as much as he did last year, maybe a little bit more, but I think it comes down to if he's going to win the Heisman, he needs to throw it, and quite frankly, he probably needs to run a few touchdowns in too.
Will Howard really set his own bar, really high for this upcoming season, so it's going to be tough to have such an improvement like he had last year. It'd be great to see it, and if he does do that, he'd be absolutely going to the Heisman ceremony and all that stuff, but it's tough. He really set the bar high for himself, and I'm not saying he's not going to improve at all, but I mean, it's going to take a lot for him to have another big jump like he did last year.
I would agree. I mean, that was such a sizable jump. I can't imagine him getting that much better.
And nobody saw it coming.
No.
People are expecting Will Howard to be great this year.
They're expecting him maybe to be a little bit better, which would be great.
I mean, did you listen to me all year before the season last year? I was pretty high on Will Howard.
You loved some Will Howard.
I did love some Will Howard.
Weirdo.
As much as you love Jake Waters.
Maybe a little more. We love some Jake, though.
Well, that's hard to do.
From Came to Elevate, are football ticket sales where you expected them to be at this point?
Well, they basically sold out. I mean,
I think everything's sold out. Students are sold out.
Yeah.
I think it's scattered singles, standing room only. It's pretty impressive.
Well, that'd be a good name for a backup band. Welcome to the stage, Zach Carlson and the Scattered Singles.
That's me and Zach.
It's all of us. Not Fitz, but
What? How about you guys?
the dogs, I think, count there.
Sleeping, yeah. I mean, if you're an AD, you want ticket demand. You want to sell at your stadium and have people clamoring for tickets. And, if you do that enough times, they'll probably figure out a way to add some seats, which I don't know how they would.
Do you do it?
I don't know. I really don't. They kind of, unless they turn a corner, I'm not sure.
I think that K-State is literally at the point where they are built in. I think you have to tear something down if you want to add seats, and I don't think there's a good way to tear anything down. You're tearing down either the east side or the West Stadium Center, and I don't think you're doing either of those. And if you tore down the east side, you'd build more suites anyway.
Right.
You wouldn't build more stands.
I agree.
General seats.
But yeah, I mean, 50,000. Yeah, there was a day when we thought they maybe could support 60,000, but it's just become very clear you don't want to overbuild your stadium. And I've always been so impressed with Iowa State fans can sell out a much larger stadium at 65 roughly, and yet the success doesn't match up. That they're in for a long season, and I think they're sold out again or close to it.
Oklahoma State just sold out their season tickets too, and they're about upper 50s, maybe 60,000. So
yeah, this gets back to one of my points of the Big 12. Pac-12 schools could be all snobby about stuff, but look at your stadiums. Now compare that to even Kansas, with a small taste of winning, started filling their stands. It's just much more important, college football, college sports in general here in Big 12 country. And I think that's going to be an adjustment for fans. Utah fans are coming in thinking they're going to own this conference because all they have to compare to is the Mountain West and Pac-12. And I think they're going to be in for a shock how hostile the environments are when you go on the road, how much more of a challenge it is to win in this conference.
They'll be at the disadvantage of having to travel farther, too.
Yeah, I agree. But, yeah, I think football tickets are right on target. I think the demand for football and basketball tickets has probably never been greater in a combined season.
Add in volleyball.
I'll be really curious.
Did they sell out their season tickets?
Oh, I don't know about that.
There was something that they sent out. The Nebraska game sold out. I know that. But I want to say that season tickets are sold out, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna fact check him, but I don't really care that much.
Let me scroll.
How about Zach? We love
Yes.
volleyball, though.
Volleyball season tickets and Nebraska match sold out.
Okay.
That was from Monday.
From Jordan?
From Jordan Ballard. She sent it out to us.
That was very nice of her. Very nice.
You guys remember back in 2021 when we had all these conversations about stadiums not being filled because people got just so comfortable with, watching games from home and stuff with COVID. And, that was a valid conversation that we had about stadiums not being filled, seats being empty. And now that, K-State's had really good seasons in both football and basketball, that conversation really has gone away and these seats are being filled. I don't know how it, stacks up across the entire country. I don't know. I'm sure it's getting more back to normal, but K-State here in Manhattan absolutely is back to normal.
Winning cures all.
Right, right. But remember in 21, there was a real, I wouldn't say a concern, but it was an issue with empty seats after the pandemic.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it was for what 2021 was as a year in society as a whole. I think K-State probably outperformed expectations when you put it in the vacuum. But now that everything's essentially back to normal, winning the Big 12 championship last year was about as good as you can ask for. And, basketball having the run that they did, exceeding expectations by a lot, certainly was, it was a nice double up for both sports, I think.
I agree.
I agree with the agreeing.
Last question of our first half is from Ohio Power Cat. What are your initial impressions of the newcomers after the scrimmage with the Israel select team?
Promising. I mean, as a group, they looked kind of ragged. But, I think the newcomers are good. Will they mesh together in the kind of unit that they had last year? I don't know, but last year was so unexpected. And they're still adding players, literally. They're overseas. They don't have David Gasson with them. They're picking up another transfer portal player here in the States.
In the States. Yeah.
And
there's no days off, man. Recruiting.
It's just amazing how they build a roster. It's fun to watch. I don't know who they're going to get for that last spot, but he said they're going to find someone, so I'm sure they will. I think they're going to be good. As good as last year, man, that's a high bar. That was just kind of a perfect storm.
Yeah. Kaluma, so we're talking about newcomers. There's obviously the transfer portal additions and then the high school players, which I don't think that there's a whole lot to be expected from Ames and Rich and Jones. But I was real impressed with Ames and Jones specifically as far as the freshmen go. I think Michaela Rich had a little bit of the jitters in the early portions of that game. And once he got his feet under him, he had a good fourth quarter against Israel Select. But Arthur Kaluma, man, he is the real deal. I don't know if you guys watched the entire game, but on K-State's first three possessions, two of them ended in an Arthur Kaluma three-pointer going through the net. And so that was my biggest concern for him when he came off from Creighton was his ability to shoot the basketball. And obviously that, concern is sort of put to rest. He's going to be a guy that can get to the bucket and score. He is Keontae Johnson-esque with just his way to operate on so many levels. And so he's not going to be Keontae Johnson. I don't think he's going to be, but Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel, those players are tough to come by. But Cam Carter, he also looked real good, and I think that we're going to see a real big expanded role from him with those superstars being gone off the team. And I don't know if you guys saw Arizona play against Israel Select on Monday. Arizona won by, I think, 49 points. And so when you see K-State win by 7 in a pretty close game, I would say that's not the most encouraging thing to look at. But no David Gasson. This is the teams, they've got 5 newcomers that played in that game. So 5 of the 10 players that played were we're new, so I think that this K-State team needs some time to gel together. And you look at the Wildcats last year, none of us really could see an Elite Eight coming until, K-State started off 4-5-0 in Big 12 conference play. And then it was like, okay, this team really can do something because, you guys remember those games in the Cayman Islands. You remember the game against Wichita State where K-State just squeaks out ugly victories. It took a while for this team to come together and find ways to win games. Obviously, good teams find ways to win, even if that's against, an Israel select team playing overseas. So it was a good first stepping stone for the season, for the offseason at least. But there's a long ways to go. I think there were some weaknesses. Tyler Perry absolutely can be a guy that can score the ball. I think his roles as being a point guard, being a quarterback to K-State's, half court offense, I think that could use some improvement as well. And obviously K-State, the first quarter really was just chucking up threes over and over again. I don't know if that was the game plan from Tang or if that was just, being nervous and wanting to shoot the ball and get it out of your hands. Who knows? But it's the first game. Let's take everything with a grain of salt. And I know they play Mexico here coming up on. I was confused. Did you see Tom Gilbert's email? It said Friday, and I don't know if that meant Friday in Abu Dhabi or Friday in the United States. So I was a little confused. But they'll play Mexico soon.
Hold on. They're playing Mexico in the Middle East.
Yeah, I guess they've got some national team playing.
It seems like we could have saved a lot of money on travel.
Right.
Just catch a bus, go down to Tijuana.
It probably does mean Friday because if they're playing at 8 a.m. in Dubai, that'd be like, what, midnight here?
They play it.
They're probably playing at least in the afternoon.
It's at night.
So it's going to be.
So it's on Thursday night, right?
No. It's not that. It's not that big of a time. It's not that big of a time difference.
The game we watched the other day was a night game over there,
right?
But
it'd be something like that.
Here.
Same day though.
Yeah,
right.
But if you flip flop it, it's going to be a different day, right?
What?
If you flip flop the times.
Well, if you play in the morning, it'll just be late night to early morning. Yeah, they won't. Who plays the game in the morning though? Even if they play it at noon, it'll still be
5 a.m., 6 a.m.
It'll still be the same
something
day
like that. Still the same day.
But anyhow,
I'm out of it right now.
It's not like the World Cup.
I don't know if you guys know this, that I am apparently fluent in both Hebrew and Yiddish, because I thought they were speaking Yiddish, but I guess it was Hebrew. And I understand every word the announcers were saying. I had no idea I could speak these languages. They did one of their little parts where you could understand them. They did break into English once in a while. They talked about how much better they were playing against Kansas State than they did Arizona. Maybe it was a coach in a sideline interview.
Okay.
Said, we're just playing so much better here than we did the other day.
What was that guy's name?
I don't know.
The G League player, though.
The G League guy was amazing. He had a perfect.
His name was Ryan something.
Yeah.
He was a baller.
He was. Everyone's like, sign him. Well, you can't.
I'm sure you could break a rule. Grab him.
I don't.
Ryan
That's
Terrell.
how rules work.
Ryan Terrell.
Terrell, yes. Apparently from California, played college ball in Israel.
I thought he played college hoops in the States, is what I heard from someone else.
No, he went from the G League because I kept finding stories from Israeli papers about his college career, how dominant he was. Guy can hoop.
Yeah. I wonder if Arizona has a lockdown defender that really shut him down.
Yeah.
On Monday.
Yeah.
But did you guys notice, like, Marcus Foster, like, they said his name like 20 times.
Oh, I know.
Because he played in Israel, so did Poland. Kelly played there. They mentioned quite a few guys, actually. I think Jamar Samuels played there. You'd hear them talking in non-English, and then you hear just a former Wildcat. You're like, whoa.
Oh, by the way, no, that guy went for like 30-plus against Arizona. I mean, he put up huge numbers in both.
Okay.
All right.
That it? That was it? Oh, that was it for the first half of the Power Cat podcast. I'm sorry. I was here trying to figure out the difference between Hebrew and Yiddish.
Non-English.
Not English. Fern. That's what it was. They're talking Fern. We'll be back after this break with more of your questions from Wabash Station, and we're sponsored by the Fridge Wholesale Liquor. The dogs are sleeping, but you better not be.
GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat podcast continues after this short break.
If you're in the market for investment-worthy bags, watches, and fine jewelry, Rebag is the answer. Rebag is a luxury resale marketplace where each piece is carefully vetted and verified by experts to ensure quality and authenticity. If you're in the market, use Rebag to buy and sell finds from the world's top brands, including Hermes, Chanel, and Cartier. Head to Rebag.com to get 10% off your first purchase with code REBAG10. Shop today at Rebag.com. That's REBAG.com and use promo code REBAG10 for 10% off your first purchase.
Welcome back to the Power Cat Podcast. Now, let's return to the GPC studios.
Welcome back to the Power Cat Questions Podcast. We're sponsored by The Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Make sure you go check out everything from The Fridge. Just incredible people. And if you need service, you don't know exactly what you want, what kind of beer you want, wine, liquor, they've got someone that can help you with all of that. I've gone in with champagne questions. They've helped me out there, because I'm a champagne guy. You can probably tell by me being classy and stuff. But yeah, they've got great products, but great help and great prices. And just check out The Fridge. They're amazing people. And again, you can get all Breckenridge Distillery products right there. And it's so good. On with your questions from Wild Bass Station. Here's Ryan Gilbert.
From Pickles. What is going on with the apparel deal? It's been discussed that the relationship with Nike has been broken on the podcast. Was that just some weird rumor mill stuff this weekend? And if the answer is Under Armour, is that really so bad?
And now we turn it over to Zach Carlson.
I don't think it's really that bad for if K-State switches to Under Armour, just because if you look at the Under Armour contracts that are out there right now, you look at Utah, they make they're on a 10-year, $65 million deal. They make about $6.5 million a year on average in product and rights fees, which is something that Under Armour does that Nike doesn't really do. Under Armour is willing to pay cash and give cash to athletic departments versus you look at the Nike contracts, it's just product. At retail price is what they say in the contract. I'm sure that there's some fudging of the numbers here and there, but when you look at other Nike contracts around the Big 12, you see Oklahoma State. Sure, they have more teams, more sports that they sponsor, but they're making about double in product allowance than K-State gets. So right now, I don't think that K-State really has a great Nike contract. And if Under Armour comes in, it really wouldn't take a lot for Under Armour to give K-State a contract, especially with the way that they do their contracts with those, the brand rights with cash, and seeing how Under Armour has gotten out of their bad deals. They had a terrible deal with UCLA that they got rid of, and they had to settle. They paid like $67 million to UCLA.
It was cheaper to settle than
it was cheaper to settle and just pay UCLA what they, were able to do in court to not sponsor them anymore and not provide them the deal that they had. They got out. I don't know what the settlement was with Cal, but Cal switched to Nike just kind of secretly. Not necessarily secretly, but the Under Armour deal was much longer than when they announced Nike. It was like they announced Nike as a new partner, and there was still multiple years on the Under Armour deal. So I don't know what happened there. But Notre Dame just signed a 10-year extension, average $10 million value per year. So a lot of that's obviously product, but I'm certain that they're paying some cash to the athletic department. So when you hear about this, it makes sense, especially with Texas Tech. They're out of contract at the end of this year, just like K-State is. So you have an Under Armour school that's out of contract, and you have Under Armour, who may be seeing K-State as a potential top brand that they could put their logo on, and they made a competitive deal. And quite frankly, Nike just isn't going to match what Under Armour can bring.
They're not. I mean, and it's all good stuff. You have to understand, Nike's not paying K-State a dime. They're providing stuff.
Right.
And a lot of the Nike stuff you see the coaches wear is done in-house. They buy the blanks and they stitch it or whatever. Right. Nike has not been a good partner. But with that said, Kansas State hasn't been a particularly good partner to Nike either. They've rejected every alternative uniform basically through the years because Coach Snyder didn't want them. And honestly, Al Serby, the equipment guy, isn't into that. And he said it. And if you're Nike and you've mocked up all this stuff through the years and sent it to K-State and they've never once acted upon it with football, you would look at them as not being a good partner, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing you some cool stuff. Try it. No, we're going to stick it. And this isn't whether to say they should be using alternate uniforms or not. It's just how the relationship has just been. Nike doesn't value anyone outside of the very elite brands. Like Oklahoma's got the Jumpman, which is the higher level of Nike gear.
Right. Jordan Brand.
Yeah, Jumpman. Yeah. And so it's not been a good relationship. Probably viewed not well from either side. And the question becomes, what Under Armour is paying you, is it worth maybe the pushback from fans? As I said in my daily delivery on this topic, folks, you'll buy stuff. I mean, Under Armour's going to come out with some cool stuff if that's the contract, and you go, oh, yeah, I want that. I have no problem with Under Armour gear. I think their shirts are pretty nice. I mean, when we were with Rivals, for a while they were Under Armour, so we got free shoes. And I liked their shoes. I did. But they're not a basketball brand. They never have been, and that's the concern from the basketball side, is this isn't good for recruiting, because it's hard to understand how important the right gear, the right shoes are to these kids. They've grown up in this environment. Go watch Air. Go watch it and realize how embedded into the basketball culture shoes are. And Under Armour's not part of that equation. So there's real concern there on the basketball side about what will happen. Gene Taylor's got a big choice. I mean, the money would be great. Better cooperation from a vendor might be incredible.
Well, I think some of the cooperation falls on K-State's end too. Because when you look at, the alternate uniforms, we talk about football equipment, go back to the Cats script that you didn't like, but fans bought the merch, and it was a merchandise event, and that was the first time that K-State had really done it, and they got that right. But that's really the only thing they've done in the last 15 years, where they said, we're going to put something on the field, and they should be doing this every year. Put something on the field. You can create some auxiliary merch. You don't have to sell a jersey or necessarily a football helmet, but you can create something. Like last year, they put the Willie logo on the helmet. They didn't advertise a single lick of that logo online on their shops. There is a disorganization when it comes to wearing alternate uniforms and creating alternate looks. There's a disconnect between equipment and marketing and retail. And, and I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but I've talked about this with other people.
Get into it, because you're exactly right.
Because like this summer, they just switched their official store to Rally House. And they used to be K-State Superstore, which was owned by Haynes, formerly GTM. That was their main partner. And if you want to go back 15, 20 years, there were 3 good K-State retailers in the city kind of doing their business. You had K-State Superstore with GTM, you had Varney's, and you had Ballard's for a little bit. They would buy Nike stuff, they'd put it there. But with Nike, to get this product, you have to order a minimum number of pieces for fan gear. 10,000, whatever it is. They have to order a certain amount of product. And they switched from, at least at the store, at the stadium, those stores, they switched to Rally House, yes, but they also changed their online retailer from Fanatics to Rally House. And Fanatics is the number one sportswear brand, at least retailer, in the world.
Right. For Fanatics is
online, in stadiums. Fanatics is the company you need to be with.
Aren't they out of Tuscaloosa?
Nah, Philly, I think.
Yeah.
Or somewhere. It's the 76ers guy.
Oh, is it? Well,
right?
I think
there's something, I don't know.
It seems to me that it was basically like a GTM type thing. This guy started it up. Maybe he sold it since then. Go ahead.
I don't know. But yeah, it's, Fanatics has grown into a monster of a company. They're taking over the NHL deal from Adidas, which I think is interesting, probably on the negative side, but that's besides the point. Fanatics, biggest online retailer, and they've taken over a lot of the in-stadium retail places too. But with Fanatics, they're buying a lot of product, a lot of Nike product for a lot of schools, a lot of teams, pro, college, doesn't matter. Fanatics probably has the largest account with Nike in the world. They're probably buying more Nike product than anybody. I'd be willing to bet that. But you switch to Rally House. Is K-State, as part of that agreement, are they telling Rally House, hey, we've got this deal with Nike. Are you willing to buy X amount of Nike product to keep Nike happy? Because I don't know if that's a question that gets asked. And I think that there's something in-house at K-State when it comes to retail, when it comes to, it does come down to uniforms on the field, on the court. It's what the fans see, and they want gear that kind of matches that. You see it with the lavender polos or pullovers. People fell in love with those. It was, after the Cats thing, that was the next thing that people bought. There is always demand for a retail experience and something that, somewhat limited edition, because the lavender polos, they weren't initially widely available. I mean, even today, you still can't find one easily.
It's not a color Nike mass produces. And people got to understand, they're mass producing colors in their materials. And then it turns into USC or Oklahoma or whatever matches that color. Lavender is not a color that is widely used.
But to wrap up my point, I think that K-State, when it comes to retail, the Cat script was great. Doing that, I think they sold $65,000 worth of stuff in a couple days. I don't remember exactly what the numbers were, but that's become a staple in people's closet now. But you have to make sure you do that every year with something. You look at UCF, they're a Nike school. They do the space game every year. They have a different uniform that they wear on the field, but there's also alternate merch that comes with it. And they've been doing that even since COVID. Another thing, if you're Chris Kleiman and you're saying, well, we can't do alternate uniforms or anything, just the supply chain, it's tough right now. It takes 2 years to design a uniform set. And we've been hearing that for 2 years now. How bad is that if you're Nike and you're hearing the coach say, hey, we just can't do anything. Our partner just is so backed up. But you can see all the other schools and you know how long the design takes. You know exactly when the orders are due for the next season. I think it's October 1 for football. Every year, October 1, you need to tell Nike exactly what you need. So that's why this contract is, pressing right now. Because Nike needs to know if you're gonna be a partner for the next year, so you can get your stuff ordered.
Yep.
And I could keep going on about the white pants that they did, and that those were probably ordered in January at the absolute earliest. That year they did that. That cost a lot of money, a lot of Nike dollars that K-State had to get those pants produced in such short amount of time, custom made. It was insane.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. You don't get cash from Nike, you get Nike bucks.
Yeah.
You get their play money that you spend back to them with whatever prices they want to set on those items. It's not been a good relationship.
But I'll post a thread on Wabash. If you have any questions for me, I'll put an FAQ up or something. But I could go on and on and on about this.
This is his thing.
If Ryan Wallace was on this podcast, we would never end.
It would never end.
I agree.
I don't know if I've seen this username. Tim Zitzgerald.
This is their first post.
Welcome.
Brand new. Make sure you pronounce that name right.
This is not your burner.
No.
Did you name this person, though?
No, I didn't. No. One day during the sale, we had back-to-back. Like, I get a list of everyone who signed up, and like on this day, there was like 18 new sign-ups, or when I checked. And these two were back-to-back. There was 2 plays on my name back-to-back. I laughed my ass off. What's this one?
Zitzgerald.
Yeah. You really missed out on Fem Titzgerald. But go ahead with your question.
Okay. Anyways, Tim Zitzgerald wants to know, with all of the news coming out of Iowa and Iowa State about sports betting, are you concerned that something similar could happen to any of the Kansas schools?
Oh, absolutely. It can happen anywhere. But this falls on the schools in Iowa obviously didn't do a good job. If you got your damn quarterback being filmed making bets in bars, what an idiot. On a scale of 1 to 10 for idiocy, that's a 15. So something broke down in Iowa, but yeah, it's a concern. And this disease has spread to other campuses because some of these kids transferred. I'll just say this. I don't know if they knew anything was going on with Arlen Bruce, but it makes sense why all of a sudden they weren't interested in him at all. It was like a good decision if they didn't know, because he's not going to play probably at Oklahoma State. Right? That's where he ended up.
Yeah. Can't bet there, though, so good for that.
Yeah, I could see how kids would trip into this. You're betting on the World Series. You're betting on the World Cup. You're betting on NBA. But they were betting on college sports and at times their own damn team. There is literally got to be no one associated with college athletics that doesn't understand you don't do that under any situation. I mean, that's like one of the basic things you learn when you walk onto campus and you're going to be associated with athletics. You cannot gamble, and if you gamble on your own team, your career is over and your life is never going to be the same because you might be the target of an FBI investigation. The best part of this was the Iowa State players that were betting on Iowa State sucked at gambling worse than they did at football because they kept getting their bets wrong when they're participating in the games. They bet on their own team for the under, and then they score. The whole thing's ridiculous. Oh, Iowa State's in big trouble with this. I mean, they're going to lose their quarterback, their running back, who knows what else. I'm less plugged into what's going on in Iowa, but it's equally bad. But yes, every state with legalized gambling needs to worry about this, period. And if I'm a player right now, when I'm seeing what's going on, if I'm a player and I realize, oh crap, I didn't realize I couldn't bet on whatever.
Yeah.
You know, not my own sport, not college athletics. I couldn't bet on NFL. I'm going out. I'm just going right to the administration, to compliance, and I've screwed up. I didn't. I thought I was fine not betting on my team. Here we go, and take your 30% penalty, which means 3 games in football. You're going to see a lot of kids, I think, around the country just disappear for 3 games, and it won't be advertised. But it'll be kids coming forward saying, I screwed up.
I don't have a concern about it already happening, because if it were to be happening in Kansas, we've seen what's happening at Iowa. It'll come to light. But in the future, yes, that is a concern, because it is just it's so easy. And even if it's not legal in your state to get an offshore bookie or something, or go through a friend, it's very easy to place bets.
Yeah.
If you want to, if you have that desire, nothing will stop you from doing it.
I mean, almost the only thing that I can think of right now to prevent your own student athletes, I guess, if you're a school, put everybody on the casino exclusion list. They can't go to any casino, can't open up an account and, do anything.
But even if you do that, though, that's just the legal ones.
Sure, but those are the only ones that see any oversight. Do you think Bovada is calling authorities in the United States for irregular betting activity?
No, exactly.
That's my point. It's not going to be detected
at the attorney general level in Iowa.
Like these were legal Iowa sports books reporting this.
Yeah.
No,
which is why these players are
Is it
dumb.
bad? Yes. Yes. Is it bad to do offshore? Yes. You shouldn't be betting on any games if you're a football player. But the point is, you did it with your own social security number. Mm-hmm. You did it with your parents' social security number. You did it on your own device, and you bet on college sports, and especially the team you bet on. You're going to get found out.
Yeah,
idiots.
Exactly.
Total idiots.
Yeah.
But that's, like, I've been sitting here trying to think of some company or some solution. I don't understand how you can't just, if you're a university, just compile a list of all of your athletes and employees, send it to DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, the Kansas Commission, whatever. Just say, these social security numbers, these names cannot have accounts.
Because if you're the gambling institution, the book, you don't want to be associated with this either.
Do not let these Social Security numbers sign up for a book anywhere in the country for X amount of time. I truly don't know any other way, because there's always going to be kids that are tempted.
Yeah, especially with today's day and age with NIL, right? You get somebody, not for throwing a game or anything like that, but hey, you can bet on somebody's first pass to be complete or incomplete. Like, hey, just throw this ball in the dirt and here's X amount of dollars coming your way. And that's pretty dang hard to detect.
Yep.
Because it's now legal.
Well, it'd be hard to detect with Hunter Deckers because he does that anyhow.
Right. This is very true.
I mean, if he was supposed to throw an interception in a game, would we know it was not his normal game? I don't understand. And there's a possibility that his suspension could improve Iowa State football.
Good. Last point here for me. The good news is, at least for Kansas, K-State, KU, whatever, gambling, sports betting has been legal in Kansas for less than a year. So you're only going to have bets that are from September 1 to now for if anybody did it in Kansas. Right. Iowa, it's been legal for much longer.
Yeah.
So the number of – because let's say that you're a K-State or KU athlete and you signed up legally. That means you're 21, so it means that you're at least a junior. So really any freshman or sophomore from the last season is probably going to be fine. Right? So you're looking at upperclassmen from the last year are going to be the only Kansas athletes. So I don't think it's as big of an issue for Kansas. Yes, could have happened. But if you nip it in the bud right now, and if people did it, it's not going to be necessarily as bad as what happened over the last 2 years at Iowa.
I agree. From Doug, 142. Great name. Given that the Big 12 wants strength of schedule to try to get a second playoff spot and lots of great inventory to increase value to the networks, should the Big 12 go to 10 conference games?
No, that's the inventory is what you're losing a non-conference game here. So there's 16 members. You're losing 8 games out of inventory by doing that. You're now turning an extra game. I see your point. It raises the value of it. But I don't think the conference teams are going to still schedule a non-conference P5 if you're already playing 10 in conference. I don't think you're improving. You're ending up with the same kind of P5 versus P5 inventory, but 8 less games in your overall inventory.
Don't go to 10 games until the SEC goes to 9.
Yeah. And that's the thing is there's such SEC bias in programming. Was my
Alexa said something?
That they much rather show Tennessee against Austin Peay than they just like having all those games because people watch them. It's just crazy to me. But if Kansas State plays Austin Peay, they don't want that game. It's just insane to me what the networks have decided what's good and bad. But yeah, with the playoff going to 12. I think the concern now is to make sure you're not locked out because there's a move in the SEC where they want to just be the highest ranked 12 teams. No, that just plays right into every bias that we've been saying you have is that the voters just think every game in the SEC means more and it doesn't. And you'll end up with 6, 7 SEC teams in the top 12. Yeah. The voting will just intentionally get skewed at that point if they have that kind of power. No, you take champions and then the next highest ranked from a formula that derives a ranking separate from the actual rankings. You cannot give voters that kind of power. Do you want Stuart Mandel deciding who's playing for national championships when the guy doesn't have any clue about college football or college athletics as a whole?
If it's still a committee in the form it is now, I don't think it's as bad as giving, a third of the weight to an AP or, it would be just the AP poll.
That's crazy.
But, I think, you can't go to 10. 9's a perfect number to schedule with.
9's the exact number.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the perfect number for a 16-team conference.
You add up every team's wins and losses from a Big 12 conference slate. It's 500, right? There's one winner, one loser. Right. If you're playing a mid-major program or whoever, you're going to get, 14-2 or something like that. So you're just creating more losses for yourself if you have 10 conference games.
Exactly. If you play 8 conference games, you're going to go 4-4. I mean, right? Or 8-8. I guess it would be 8-8. Or you could go 16-0. I mean, it's just that's why the SEC only plays 8. They can get Missouri can win 2 conference games, and they're not going to win all 4 non-conference games this year. But in theory, they could win 4 non-conference games and go to a bowl. It's cowardice. It's pure sleight of hand here with what they're doing. They want everyone to look at the record. They're so much better. Well, yeah, you played a third patsy on your schedule
in November,
right? And some of the schedules, well, some of them are good. They play 2 Power 5s. There's some that are playing no Power 5s. What? Come on, man. What are you doing? Don't tell me you're the best and then back away from competition that way.
I mean, with the new college football playoff, when it expands to 12 teams, and you have, 6 conference champions get to go? So you'll have Power 4 now that the Pac-12's gone. You'll probably have the American and maybe Mountain West. Somebody, doesn't matter who, but 6 conference champions, whoever are ranked the highest. And then you have 6 at-larges. I think more years than not, the runner-up in the Big 12 championship game is going to make the playoff. Just based on the sheer numbers, how the Pac-12 was, it collapsed.
Well, look at last year.
I mean, think about it. You look at every team in the Pac-12 just got a harder path to the playoff. 4 teams go to the Big 10, which is already good. And then you have the Big 12 that just added 4 more teams from the Pac-12. So it's just, you have OU and Texas, who probably had the easiest path on paper, at least what the media would like you to think. Their path just got harder because now they have to go through all of the good SEC schools. I mean, I think that if you're the Big 12 right now, you feel good. Well, if you're K-State right now, you feel good about getting a playoff spot because you think you can compete as well as or better than the new additions that you add to the conference. You won the Big 12 championship last year, and OU and Texas weren't in the game last year. Mm-hmm. So if you're K-State, you got to feel good about the position the conference is in. But I think you stay at 9 conference games.
I agree.
It's been a few years since either of those teams have been in the championship game.
Well, those were the last times they were in it.
From Eric Schneid, last question of this podcast. Does the Big 12 expanding coast to coast solidify cities like Dallas and Kansas City as the best options for the football championship and basketball tournament? Or do you think it will start moving to other conference territories?
I think 1 year ago, Brett Yormark had full intention of moving the basketball around. He recognized the importance of being in Texas with football in that stadium. After 1 year of seeing what it's like in Kansas City, he changed his mind. So I think we were all annoyed when Pac-12 people came into this conference and started saying, we got to have that tournament in Vegas. Shut up. You don't walk into someone's house and say, well, thanks for inviting me. You really need a new couch. I mean, that's exactly how it came across.
Need a new closet in here, Fitz.
Yeah, I need a new closet.
New bunk beds.
Just come to Kansas City for a couple years and see what it's like. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
If your teams are good enough to make it to Kansas City. I'm still not sure how they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I love how Brett Yormark stole the media seats at the Big 12 championship or the Big 12 tournament.
Jerk.
But he gave everybody beer. And everything's forgiven.
It's fair. Too bad K-State only played one game, one day. We only got one night of free beers. I guess we could have
gone every night
with our press passes, but we'll have to do that next year. We'll ditch the poker trip, Jack, and we'll just go drink beer.
Just do that.
Well, I'll say this. In theory, I don't mind having the basketball product moved around, but not the tournament. I think it would be cool to have a series of let me just pull 2 teams out here. BYU and Kansas State play opponents in Las Vegas to open the season.
Bring back the holiday tournament.
Or bring back the holiday tournament. Move it to Vegas.
Play it in Vegas. Play it in Dallas. Play it in Oklahoma City. It doesn't matter. Just start the year, do it between Christmas and New Year's or whatever you want to do. Just start off the conference season with a tournament. Everybody plays 2 games, and then you have they count as conference games. Don't make it a tournament. Do kind of like what the NBA's doing with their little thing. Make them count as conference games, but there's maybe a little bit of an extra reward on the side, and then play 8-8 for conference or 7-7 for conference. Do something like that.
I'm in. Then he'll come up with something.
Yeah,
he's a free thinker. He's going to come up with some way to get the brand to New York City, to Las Vegas, to Orlando, maybe to Indianapolis, to be right in the middle of Big Ten territory. He's going to do it. Maybe it will involve, playing a challenge series with someone and spreading those games around the country instead of home venues, which I think is cool. I mean, I pitched last year that they have their non-conference challenge series with the at bowl season and have bowl season basketball. I mean, because even then you can slot in the games into openings into the schedule. I don't know. It's staying in Kansas City. I think that's all I got to say. And they're not moving out of Dallas. It's just too important to have that Dallas presence.
Well, it's got extended there through what? Mm-hmm. That was announced at Media Days this summer.
Yeah.
What year was that?
And that's
2031, I think.
Look,
basically the whole grant of rights, I think, the next TV deal.
Let's be honest here. If your championship game is in 5 years, it's UCF and Arizona State. Granted, both sets of fans have to fly, but those from Phoenix to Dallas and Orlando to Dallas are damn easy flights to fill.
Same way Atlanta is perfect for the SEC.
Right. Everyone can get there. If you might have to fly, but everyone can get there. And I think that's really important because in the Big 12, people go to the championship game. It's going to be a weird thing for the Pac-12 fans to realize, people go to games. They actually care. That was a long
Speaking of flying.
Yeah.
This airport here, guys.
Oh, what a mess.
Yeah.
Hey, if you haven't heard, the airport is now officially delayed. It won't be
unsurprised.
Yeah.
Shocked.
It won't be open till October. And I was told by little birdie yesterday that this is typical Manhattan, Kansas FUBAR. They apparently signed penalties in the contract for the project going late. And the contractor realized the penalties are less than paying the overtime. So they have elected not to pay overtime, not to work too hard to get it done because it's cheaper to be late.
Good for them.
Smart for them. They outsmarted Manhattan, Kansas city government. Not shocking. Oy. So no airport for the first month of the football season, at least.
Is that for real?
Yes, they announced it yesterday. Oh, yes. It's not going to be open till October.
When I saw that they hadn't made an update for a couple months, that's usually a typical sign of saying, it's probably behind. Probably behind.
You hired a contractor who didn't care to make the date, which was vital for your city and the university that lies within your city. It's just unbelievable. It's so peak Manhattan. On that great note, we'll end the podcast. Thanks for listening. Got long in the second half, but now you know a lot more about the shoe contract thing because Zach is an expert in this. K-State, hire him to be in charge of this kind of stuff. But not too quickly. I kind of need him.
Thank you for listening to the PowerCat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. PowerCat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book. Right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, competitive betting menus, and the best customer service. Now you can download, fund, and bet like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com for details.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
guys.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.